Here's one way.
Scary.
Yeah.
Huh?
Flat.
Not for
He
me.
wants to go through the air without.
That's one of those bent sticks.
If your feathers wanted to go around here.
Well, what is it though?
Yeah,
No variable.
The head's trying to go flat.
No, the head don't look right. It's got to turn it right to stay straight.
Well, I think I can shoot left-handed.
Well, I guess you should.
You know,
Here, who's gonna have a beer?
the more the better.
Any better for a beer?
Thanks, Doug.
That's the way I like them.
Yeah, well, this, I think I haven't been putting enough spiral on.
No, you got to turn the broad in. You got to look in the.
No, I got my, well, those things, the way I've got them pinned now, they fly damn good.
This is They don't give me any good stuff. Once in a while, they make a good one, have to shelf it.
Yeah, but diddly whittles it up anyhow.
Tightens up a bit. You feel that 60 pounds up in the back end. Well, that's got a little more segment than a lot of them. I think that would give you enough to.
Yeah, I think
You
don't use those new veins, do you? No, they leave blood trails across the mouth. Oh, that's right.
I love that one. Blood trail classic. Yeah, leave blood trails across my knuckles. You don't use those things when you're shooting off your knuckle. You know, each set that there on his hand.
Yeah. I don't know about these guys. I think we shouldn't be in there much before.
There's the one at 7.
I think they came out. I think the fellow's got to be in there. Tree sheet was sturdy.
Oh, I do too, to get settled down.
I've got a little opposition there. We have to get
Different
the guys up.
To get settled down.
I do before they're anywhere as close, you know.
No,
I don't mind shooting an extra hour.
shit, no.
Have a calm bear.
What'd you do with your opener there,
My
Speedy?
nerves settled
Hey?
and all that shit.
What'd you do with your opener?
Well, I got it. I have it right here, Doug.
It's handy.
How do you work that? I think you just fucked up about 25 feet
Oh,
here.
what do you mean?
Oh, did I moved that? I shouldn't have, eh?
Oh, that's just for distance.
Oh, that's all right.
This, you know, you can move the.
How the hell's anybody shoot all screwed up like that? Boy, does that feel funny.
You gotta be born that way.
No, actually, you know, I shot
It's
right-handed.
really wild.
Remember when we first started in Saskatchewan? I shot right-handed for 4 or 5 years. And I had so many bad habits that I just couldn't break that I went down one day and I traded that goddamn thing off for a left-handed bow and
You're right. Start shooting bears. Left-handed.
well,
The right-handed feels like this does.
Blast.
It's terrible.
Blast.
It's really
Hey boys, the wind has changed to the northwest.
It has?
what does that mean?
Northwest?
Yeah.
Well, that's where it should be.
The clouds coming in?
Northwest.
That's an east-west road we're on there.
Yeah.
See, feel it.
More or less.
Yeah. It's cooler too.
Brad, the northwest wind, you can't hardly
We're gonna
stand
get
in
rain.
there.
Bring your rain gear.
Well, northwest wind is great for the meadow.
You know, if it gets too wet down there, we can't go pick you up.
The other wind's so damn good.
But the other place at 18?
Makes it easy to slide the bear.
You're not too worried.
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm going to the middle then.
Well, whatever you like. But, well, we can stop there and by that mile 18 and you can check it and see, but it shouldn't be any damn good at all for you there. Yours one will be all right. You can stand
That's right for
anything
that
except
spot.
the east wind.
There's good spots all over now. For that northwest wind. No, it is changed.
That's good for me.
I'm gonna put my underwear on. It's
I'm going
getting
in.
cooler.
It's gonna be cold.
I'm going into mile
Starting to cloud
24.
over.
See?
Are you?
Okay, damn right.
He's what?
So that's good wind for you.
That's one of those bent sticks.
I had one just like this, Tony. It was the one that Fred put the clear glass on here. You know, you can see the zebra through it.
Oh yeah.
And I love that bow. I wanted to put it away for keepsake, and I got drunk one night duck hunting.
And I was gonna show a guy how to string that son of a bitch. Stepped in there, I broke the cocksucker right in two.
Well, check it when you get there, because you know how those roads wind and wind.
Yeah, you can't really tell until you get in there.
Well, Hap,
Oh, I'm not all too sure that one makes sense.
Gary, take that camera, that movie camera, so you can get a picture of it.
Oh, yeah. What's that? Well,
You gonna film in your movie
yeah,
camera?
sure. I want to take a picture of this too.
Okay. Do you have it?
I could put my shirt on, it would look decent, couldn't
Like damn, you ought to wipe the lens out once in a while on this camera.
Oh,
Jesus. Just a bunch of dust on
well, these northerners don't know
Damn.
too much anyways.
one trip and they get that way, you know.
No, it's
Just to drive down here will do that if you leave it
From
set
the
there
west?
that way.
Yeah, right now. But I feel it's going to switch to the northwest because there's clouds coming in from the north.
We sure don't want a west wind on that.
Beyond 6 feet, I guess there's no sun.
West or northwest, not all that good. Well, it might be all right too if it don't swing to the north.
That's what he
This is kind of an idiot.
I can't run.
Huh? What's that? This is first camera, 2 to 6 feet, 6 feet up.
Why do you think you want
That's a K90. Okay, Fred.
Doug wants his picture taken today.
All right. Where the hell?
Get that old raunchy boy.
Yeah, get that good bow. Get that good bare bow up there, for goodness sake.
Where's the sun?
Okay.
You want us in the sun or the shade?
Oh, that's good.
What are we on from, beyond 6 feet?
All right, we want
Let's
to
get it
2
the
to
other way.
6.
I'd call it about 10.
Oh, I got a good 35. Hey, Doug, don't be so serious.
Jesus, bear hunting serious.
Smile, Doug.
How about some prunes or something?
Cheese or some damn thing, huh?
Prunes or your turn in the barrel or something?
For bait.
You're not in the barrel. You're not in the barrel, man.
That's enough of that shit, he said.
Right over that shit.
Ah, okay, we're gonna get moving here.
Oh, start talking. Show him.
Yeah.
Comparing bowls.
You got another one. God, I didn't think there was two legs.
Wait a minute, I haven't got this thing ready yet. Don't
Can't we talk for once?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Okay, talk. Okay, start moving, doing something.
Shoot arrows in the air or something.
Where'd you get it?
Take more feet than that.
Do some clout. Do some clout shooting. What are these bullets?
How come it's foggy in here? Is it my eye or what? I
That
got
game
on
warden
about
asked
10
you
feet.
what time you were going out.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's do a whole lot. Start to do the bushes.
Oh,
You gotta get ready pretty soon.
We should be in the blanket.
I thought you was telling a big ass lie about coming in. There's something like that.
That's a longer boulder, isn't it?
This here.
Yeah, I think the wind's going down.
This is actually was a target bow.
It's not a honey bow.
It was a target bow.
Remember, Doug, that you spend your this evening in the barrel. It's your turn.
Yeah. Okay. Head first, me.
Yeah. And we won't throw you away till you're well used either.
Better tonight than 2
No.
nights from now.
It's a home designed one.
As long as when
Typical
you
Arctic
fall
bow.
off your feet, you can stab the bear too.
It's a mud flap.
Oh, that thing is.
Sure, you bet.
That's all right.
It's brought me a little.
These guys, us guys.
Hey, hang on to it.
I think you've got 2 moose, haven't you?
Yeah.
Get around the
Hey, Hap, where's your arrow?
You live in trouble.
Huh?
That's your arrow?
Where?
Right here.
That's it.
Okay.
That's one.
We're gonna make a meat bowl here.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, there's another one, Denny's.
Let's
Jeez.
not put any in the meat bowl till we got some meat.
That's the ones that don't get in the meat bowl, yeah.
Good as you.
I think
Look
you
at that
guys want to
motherfucker.
spend
Where the hell is yours?
Oh, it's there. Where's
Yeah.
Jenny? Bill, we never found him there. We never found Bill there.
About boat out. I might as well be selling equipment. Couldn't give me a franchise, could you?
Yeah,
Truck
sure.
business a little slow this year anyway.
What do you want, Saskatchewan?
Oh, hell, we'll take
You ready,
some
Ray?
trouble. So I got one of those new, travelers, you know, long wheelbase.
Yeah. Pretty good deal.
Up there already. Yeah, it is really not going down the company with it. 118 wheelbase. Yeah, still.
You gonna hunt with us tonight?
Well, I tell you, if there's a spot to hunt, I'll hunt. Otherwise, I brought a two-seat along, and if I could, if there isn't a spot to hunt, if I could sit up at a tree back behind. Oh, I'm out of film. Get out! Don't take my camera.
You ought to film a movie film.
Oh, if there's a spot, I'll hunt with it.
Put him in 18, I'll go up to,
No, that's probably true.
things like this.
I'm gonna shoot one tomorrow.
We'll
night,
take
but-
them in one this time.
We got a place for this guy, isn't
You got your hunting equipment?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
What do you mean if I got my hunting equipment?
Oh,
The guy
shit,
needs-
you don't use that for hunting. I thought that was just for an antique piece.
That's it.
Our tournament doesn't start at 9 o'clock in the morning.
What's your range? Is from 5 to 10 yards?
You finally came in from Vegas.
Yes, he finally got right in. Well, she almost made it. She was on the side of that bank and she turned and started out.
That's one of our more scenic
Up
spots
your
there.
ass, you know.
Hap.
About 30-yard shot. You know,
That's a nice
beautiful. That arrow just went as true as it could be.
That's a nice shot.
This time I'm gonna have the first pick. Where's that? Well, that calls for a drink, wouldn't it?
I should think so.
We just had a mug or two.
Just sitting here jacking
Where are all your glasses?
Over here, we can find one. Doug, you'll have to grab one. There's a whole tube in here. I gotta turn. Very big glasses. Gonna make that one look like a pup. Oh, that's it. I'll walk right up to it after. Oh, thank Christ for that. Big brown like that. Oh, good. Way to go.
Libation here.
You gonna have a drink tonight, Hap? You're coming down the hill. You know, it's so fucking dark you can't see, eh? Erase that dirty word from there.
And we're pulling down the hill, and he trips, and he just about falls right in the bait pile.
That means bringing rug anyhow.
He's excited. Oh, I got twigs in our face.
No.
You can't see that. He's just dragging the bar.
Let me rug anyhow.
2-year-old.
Don got one too.
Who got
Yeah,
one?
that's right here.
Well, he
Well, we'll
didn't.
find it in the morning.
He didn't find his yet, though.
No.
Well, do you want a little drink there, or I just kind of...
Oh, Jesus.
I gotta get a jacket on him. We're in the weather today. He said like 70. Well, I'm gonna have a heart attack and just drag me.
Oh, you better believe it.
What do you say, Doug? What'd you shoot tonight?
She ran up
I
that
could've
hill, you know, and
shot a
then
couple of
suddenly,
deer.
look, I lost track of
you?
her.
That's all it-
I
Well, I couldn't have shot the
I
bus,
loaned
that's all.
Jerry Bottrell my truck to go over the other side of the game reserve, and he hit a deer with it coming home
Went
tonight.
end over end.
Yeah.
It's,
You hear that, Fred?
That's what I had, yeah.
Jerry hit a deer and seen a moose and an elk on the road.
Flew like a goddamn cow, you know. Finally heard that gurgle, shit, you know.
I come back to the I told you
Right on. I couldn't hit the brakes quick enough, and I hit her with the front fender on the hind.
So I go out and that's when you start laying on the bait pile.
Hey, Hap, when you shoot like me, this is my practice shot at the bait pile. It was sitting like that. So I thought, well, that's good.
Hey, I knew I was on tonight because I took one of those too, and there was a little piece of bag down there. And
Then
I
we went
right
down the
in
road
front of
about another
it, 4 miles.
Damn, that's a bunch of luck go happen. Go down and let her go across the road.
I was never so happy to hear that.
Oh, it's long.
10 mile an hour, scared her to the record.
No, 15 miles.
I thought it wasn't
We
good.
would've-
I would've.
Now we got two at least. Two going.
I walked over.
I was going to bring it in, but we had that ram charger, and there's all carpets in it and everything.
I wasn't sure what was in the back of this too. You know, I didn't know whether it was leatherette or on the floor. I knew there was some kind of a rug, but it's rubberized. So that's gonna hurt that. It's not better. The drag was down through the creek and up the other.
Ray, seen anything tonight?
No.
Oh, right. I gotta watch these.
When you got no bears to skin in the morning.
Very, very. Hang on to that. Here, get the story, the full story of how he killed him.
Anything that you wanted to bet this morning with that berries, huh?
Oh, I thought it was
You know, because the arrow looked good, you know. But these guys fooled with me from about 7:15. They all came in on a she stayed 50 to 70 yards away at all times, you know. And I thought I had 6 bear because that little one had come in and get a piece of meat, and the other one had come down and stand in the open there. You know where that bank comes down? There's a trail there.
Right. Yeah.
The little one had hustled down there, you know, and dig through that file for the biggest piece he could get a hold of. And the other one would come right out in the open, where this big one was at the end, and stand there and wait. It never came into that meat, but I'll bet that little shit came in 15 times and he'd come in once, you know. Mess around in there and grab that thing and run, then he'd go up there and fight like hell over it. You'd hear the leaves flying and snarling and growling back in there. And she never went in there. She just stayed way the hell off. She kept going back and forth across this goddamn creek. I'll bet she went across that creek 6 times.
Crossed over the creek?
Yeah, it came back, and what she'd do, there's a log up there.
Yeah, right.
She walked that log one time, right in plain view there, you know, about 50 yards up. Walked right across and stood in the middle of that log and stood up there and smelled, you know, with her nose up.
Yeah.
And then got across, and I thought she stayed over, and then I seen 3 more over there. Of course, it was the same one. I thought, holy Christ, I got 6 bears around, surrounded by them mothers, you know. But she was just fucking around me all night long, you know, all over the place. That's quite a deal.
Then all of a sudden she come in on the bait.
Yeah, she did. When she started coming, she come right down there, and she was looking right at me, and she didn't go to the bait. You know, again, right where that clearing is there, about, 15 yards, 10 yards from the bait, on that
You hang on.
bare spot of ground there. She stopped, put her nose in the air, turned very slowly, had the paw up like this.
Well, I gotta drink
the deal. Here we got that bit. And it just went as dirty as
Yeah. She was nervous as hell.
Oh, all day long. She, I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
Put her
I had
on
them. Yeah, see, I had 2 bears in there. Nervous as hell, but the one that stretched the bait, just brought the other one right on the bait pile.
And that wind was blowing into my face, at my back, on my side.
Oh,
you
it's
know,
having
shit.
4 wind.
Oh, it's all over the place.
It was swirling to be hell anywhere you went.
What'd you say there was that one time this the 2-year-old went up and had a piece of bait, and him and the 3-year-old or something like that started fighting over it or something like that?
At
and they
least
rolled down
6
in the creek?
times. Yeah, the one time though,
Rolled down the creek.
you know where that bank is up about 50 yards up the stream? Well, that's where she died, right up above that place. But she screwed around there all night, right in that area. they were at the bait and she was way up there, you know, and then they'd run back up their barn. But this one time, the little one's coming, the other one was always with her. This time wasn't. That's another reason I thought I had more bears than I knew what to do with it. This little guy took that bait and he'd look around and he'd run like hell up there. He never stayed there. And he's walking along right on the edge of that bank, right on the edge. And this other son just must have been laying there like a cat. Because I seen it coming like a bullet. It just hit that son of a broadside down over that bank, across that little flat, and right into the water. Just snarling and snapping and bitching at each other.
More fun than the barrel of bear.
I was entertained all goddamn night. I never thought she'd come in though. She got in trouble.
We got one. Yeah, we bear hunting.
Emily.
Boy, that's good. One fish all along with that one.
Wow, that's good.
He's had lots of action on it.
Well, it might save on the booze, you know.
Right off. Well, I only just walked back, and then it finally came in, but every time it come back in, it would go back down to just downwind, and then it walked right in, and just walk right over the stream.
Oh, yeah? Never smelled it.
Oh, it had to. It was right downwind from it. Yeah, yeah. Oh, every time it came in. And then walked around the tree, smelled the rope right at the bottom, and then looked up that tree, and just did a couple of these on one big limb, and
Coming up your tree.
coming up my tree. And then the only reason I know it went back down is I had the axe here. I just went to reach for the axe, and it saw me move, and then it just got down, and it peeled out about 4 jumps, and it walked right in the bait, just in between me and the bait.
They just don't understand that a man can be in a tree, I guess, huh?
Yeah. That must be the reason.
This bear last night looked at me, he looked at me, I had my glasses on. I know he was looking at me. But hell, I just was still,
Yeah.
so he goes back to the...
Don't move or anything. They don't seem to figure out what it is.
That ain't really right either. The last fucking time I was sitting there holding this thing,
What were you shaking for?
that's what was wrong. It was getting heavier and heavier, and then I had to go down on it. And he was looking right at me when I went down on it. He had to see movement. And he still figured come in.
I think, well, when they're what, kittens, and the first thing the mother teaches them, they ain't climbing tree, danger, eh?
Oh yeah, pop right up.
Hop, get up high, eh? And that's their safety, is height, eh? So I don't think they think that anything up on top is danger.
No,
40 years ago, we were making bows out of wood, yew and Osage orange. And I had a beautiful yew stave. God, I spent 3 months just babying that thing and working on it. I finally got it blown. It turned out to be 85 pounds. Jesus Christ, that's, you know, that's 75 is my limit. I used to shoot turkeys. Well, anyhow, I gave that bow to a real husky woodsman, fellow I used to hunt wildcats with, and it wound up in another fellow's hands, and he was a pretty husky guy, and he went hunting. And he wasn't an archer, he just had a bow and went hunting. And deer hunting, and he was standing up against a tree and saw a nice, beautiful buck coming. Going to pass him about 20 yards. And he waited till the deer's head was behind the tree, and then he pulled his bow back. And the deer stopped. And he said, "Geez, I don't know what to do. I couldn't hold it," and he said, "I knew if I let it down, I couldn't get it back again."
Come back with fingers about that long.
We had another thing happen on a hunt. We used to drive 100 miles to a county, Allegan County, where no gun hunting. And it was kind of settled, you know, but there were some big bucks in there. Oh, God, some big whitetails. Well, we had a fellow in our archery club, did an indoor range in Detroit. His name was Charlie Kidder. And he was an old guy, and he just shot arrows for targets. One fall he began to get interested in hunting, and he kind of caught on, and he decided maybe he'd go hunting. So he bought the complete outfit, got red mackinaw and boots and the whole works, and we took him over to Allegan County. And I put him in a blind, pretty good blind. And he didn't get any shooting, but he thought that was a great sport. So he was talking to a friend of his. He lived in a little town outside Detroit. What a great thing this bow hunting was. And why didn't he take it up? It was great fun. So he sold him the idea, and he got an outfit, and he took him over. He's the expert. See, he's been there. He'd been there one weekend. And he put him in this blind that he'd been in. He went back, checked on him a couple hours, and the guy was all excited. "Oh, geez, you shot a great big buck. Oh, it's a tremendous thing." Well, they started looking for it. You know, Charlie's the old guy, the expert. They couldn't trail it, but they made circles. Finally, here's this great, big, beautiful duck. Deader than a doornail. Well, that was great. And Charlie said, "Now you got to clean it. I'll tell you how."
You what?
He said, "You got to clean it, you know." He said, "That's part of hunting." He said, "I'll tell you how." And he said they worked on that thing. He said the stench was just terrible. He said they lost their cookies a couple of times. But, you know, that's part of the deal. And they could get their car in there. They got it on the fender. And we had to, at that time, we had to check our deer through the DNR station. They tagged them, looked them over and whatnot. So triumphantly they drive into the station. The guy looked it over. He said, "Boys, this deer's been shot with buckshot. He's been dead about a week. I suggest you take him out and bury him." That actually happened. Charlie told me the whole story. He said, down in the middle here, it was all blue, you know, where they're white.
Take him out and bury him.
They had a lot of poachers in that country. They banged this guy with a shotgun.
Had a good set of horns, though.
Oh, beautiful. We had another fellow in Grand Rapids. Went down there one weekend. And then Sunday night, he shot a tremendous buck. It was just at dark, and he didn't want to take after it right away because it's such a nice head. So he went over to where he'd shot it and followed the trail a little ways. There's a lot of blood. So he took one of his arrows and he broke it in half, and he rubbed blood on the back end of it. He went down to the DNR station. He had to be to work the next morning. He couldn't stay. He just couldn't. He went down there and he showed him this bloody arrow, bloody half of an arrow.
Anybody got a broom in their truck?
And he said, "Look, I shot a big deer.
Over there.
Would you guys go out and look for it in the morning?" Yeah, sure they go out. You know, he had this bloody arrow. Sure he shot deer. Well, he went out and they found a deer just short ways. And they called him up and say, hey, we got your deer. We got it hanging in a cooler. Come down and get it if you want it. So he came down there next weekend. And they said, we found this deer right where you told us. But you said piece of the arrow and the deer don't match the piece you gave us. Well, he was caught, you know, and he had to confess to what he did. And they said, well, hell, you lied to us once. How do we know you're not lying to us again?
And they pinned him?
No, they said, if you can produce an end of the arrow that matches the one we got out of the deer, you can have it. So he went out and crawled around his hands and knees there if he didn't find it. And they gave him his deer. Yeah. Those were the days, huh? Yeah. One guy shot a 27-point deer.
Really? A whitetail?
Whitetail. And I got to get a hold of that head. The fellow's dead now. And measure it up for this Pope Young. He might have a real winged deer in that.
Well, it could have been.
Would it be non-typical?
It was not non-typical in terms of things sticking out and hanging down, but the points branched like a
Oh yeah.
like a muley.
Oh yeah.
For God's sake. I saw a real weird head in Miles City, Montana, sitting in the barber shop, and that thing had a base about that big. And just went out just like a deer. Just unreal.
Yeah.
It had something like so. Just unreal.
Yeah.
It had something like 50-some points on it or something. They were countable. Nothing real long, but they were just hanging out all over the place. They were real weird looking things.
I got the #1 Pope Young whitetail in my museum.
Oh, was that right? Well, what did it score?
It's top and Pope Young in second and Boone Crockett. I don't remember the score.
Non-typical?
What? Non-typical, yeah. It's got two horns that come down here, and they got balls in the end of them. And there's pieces of the velvet that has dried and hung on that, like a war shirt. The ball won't let them off.
Oh, for God's sake.
And I've got shed antlers from the same deer.
Oh, is that right?
Deer lived in an island in the Missouri River, and the fella, he sells for us right now. He's one of our salesmen. We hunted him for 5 years.
For God's sake.
We got a couple shots at him, and one night he took a friend of his along, and you know what happened.
Yeah.
never fails.
Yeah.
Something like that would happen.
How did that moose stack up that you shot there?
What moose?
That one that
I got a picture of it.
I never measured that moose. I don't know what it is.
Never measured it.
Huh?
You say you never had it measured?
Well, the reason I didn't, I had to saw him two to get him out. Shot him way back in. I had to saw him in two. And that moose, I got it mounted whole in the museum. And what they did, the moose antlers are demountable. You can pull them off. Wow, that's a hell of a shipping crate they got.
Oh, it would be.
They saw them off right at the butt and drill a hole in them. And then they got a square thing that comes out of the skull. And they pour the epoxy in these holes and make the round hole square, and they just slide in there. Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
That was a big moose that
Sure.
doctor got last. Remember that poking young one?
Oh, geez.
Wasn't that a
That'll be hard to beat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that?
I forget his name. Saw from Alaska. MD.
He looks awful young for an MD, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Young fella.
Yeah.
Morning.
He called me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. About a month ago. From Alaska.
Oh, yeah. Month ago.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
He and Ken Oldham, an outfitter they used to hunt with, they got to drinking. And he said, let's go for a bear. He said, I'm sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning. Five hours time difference up there.
You did, Ray?
Yeah.
I think I shoot a bear tonight, Gary. I'm going to shoot it and have it do just what yours did last night.
Just flip over and say, you got
You
me.
better talk to Fred first before you go out there. He tells you where to shoot him and they just drop in the bait pile.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to drop
did
in the
too,
bait
almost.
pile, they get all messed up. You don't want to drop one right on the bait pile.
You don't want to move about that far, well, halfway between the bait pile and the truck.
Well, yeah,
You do have the
Yeah.
other break, eh?
that's what, get him going right there.
Trying to make it go 30 pounder and sometimes more, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get out of your
That thing's got a big one, too, you know, I got it.
Get out of the kitchen. Get in the
Where he
kitchen.
was, eh?
Yeah,
I went back about half hour later and
No.
walked through the store and there he was laying.
Language.
That's nice when you hear him that same night.
oh yeah. I shot a grizzly one time. He was in the creek getting fish. And I sneaked up and shot him. I made a lousy shot. Shot him in the gut. And he reared off and spun around. He's in just shallow water.
Yeah.
While he was doing that, I knew I had a lousy hit. I got another arrow on, and then he started running, and I swung and shot him right through the brain.
Went right through.
Yeah, I got the skull in the music. The arrow went through this side of the brain and lodged against the other side, and he kept running. He spewed pink brains along the trail, ran up over a ridge and disappeared. And one of the fellows with me ran up along my side of the creek and saw him where he went down.
Yeah, there.
Oh, you got that in your museum?
I got the skull out of the hole in here.
What, how many pound bull were you using then? Oh, the side would be
65
soft.
or 70. It's only about an inch.
Yeah, it's the top part of it.
The top is really not real head. With the top, it's just head on, it's slanting and you glance off. Well, we're going out to see the bear, huh?
We got your breakfast ready, Fred. Let's have a look after.
Okay.
Fred.
One. Start with one.
They go up to the bear. Lots of them. You want a hot cake?
Mm-hmm.
Why, sure. Why not? Why not?
You want this tape running, Gary, or should I shut off?
Yeah. Okay, we'll just shut it up.
I'll be listening to these. All these stories on tape, you see.
I was only about half a mile from camp. This creek came by, and they had a blind. And I went over and got up in that, and I shot this bear. This was dark. And the place is full of bears. There's a ridge went along, and the creek hugged the ridge.
Goosebumps.
And the bears were in there after salmon. And I'd cruised that ridge, and geez, this bear beds all over. And I lie on the ridge and look down. And I knew it was full of bears. And I wasn't going off in the dark and, try to find them at night. So I sneaked into camp, scared to death. And went out next morning and they'd eaten everything. I just got a short neck mount out of it.
Eat everything.
Yeah. There's pieces of hide left. But it was right up
Here, Don, sit here.
We could hear him growling and fighting over there at night.
No, I've been flooding here feeling too.
Oh, yeah.
You were sleeping in a tent, I bet you.
Well, I wouldn't mind the tent. Yeah, that was all right. But they did come in around camp.
One ball there and the other one.
Do you ever have a camp torn up like
Never a grizzly black bears, yeah.
black bears?
Oh, yeah. I got a story on that. I'll say that for the tape. Knickerbocker. Shitty pants. That old black bear. That's a famous steelhead stream. And we couldn't get a room in the hotel there because it was full of steelhead fishermen in the fall year. But there was a whole big stack of about 8 cases of McEwen's ale. You ever drink McEwen's strong ale? You can't get it here either.
I've never heard of it.
The only place I've ever run into it is out in British Columbia, in Vancouver, around there. Well, anyhow, this fellow had with me. He's got too much money, both he and his wife. Anyhow, he saw this McEwen's ale and he knew what it was. And he said to the gal at the desk, "Whose ale is that?" And she said, "What belongs to Mr. So-and-so, who's coming in this afternoon." Well, he said, "Tell him I took 2 cases." And she lets get away with it.
Knife and fork, 2
We took
cases.
2 cases. Went up to the house. McEwen's strong ale. It's about 12-13%. And, oh God, you don't go down smooth.
The guy in BC, he made a Uncle Ben's, what do you call that, strong beer or something? No,
Uncle Ben's beer, yeah.
yeah, but it,
Ben Ginter.
yeah,
Uncle Ben's beer.
yeah, but it was about a 14% beer too, wasn't it? They wouldn't sell it in Saskatchewan, I know that.
Well, this stuff was not as potent, but it was good. Oh, geez, it was good. Every time I went out there, I'd bring a couple cases back. And I tried to get it down Windsor. I tried to get it in Winnipeg. I tried to get it all the way east to Montreal, and I can't find it anywhere.
McEwen's.
McEwen's Strong Ale. It's made in Scotland, bottled in Scotland.
Seems fine when you have it across from the rest of the provinces. They have to come by there to get
For some reason, it's only in the West. Ale. He said, "What's the alcohol content?" And I said, "I don't know." The poor guy spent about 15 minutes figuring how this would relate to a bottle of whiskey. He knew what a bottle of whiskey was. And finally, he had 2 pieces of paper all loaded with figures. And he said, "Well," he said, "it comes out pretty close. You don't owe me anything. You owe me a few cents, but forget about it." All the people waiting on the line. And I felt like it here.
Do you want to see this?
Huh?
Do you want to see this?
No. Everybody had enough pancake? Yeah, but you're not allowed all that many.
I tend to take care of that situation while I'm up there.
I've been cold since yesterday afternoon. Is something wrong with you or what?
Which one last night? Were you sleeping?
No, I was warm sleeping. But, I mean, being up.
Never know.
No, I need that.
Before he discovered his girl going to the toilet.
Oh, yet.
Shit, somebody's been reading my mail. Gary, you said yesterday you wanted to drag that bear away from the bait because there's another bear in there. I'm confused. He shoots a bear and dies, and his buddy eats it. Is there some reason that you don't drag a dead bear through your bait area?
Well, we've seen it where you get a dead bear near it and then it scares everything else off.
Scares it off, huh? It's the smell of the blood or something?
You got a grizzly bear out there, Bob.
Sometimes they eat and sometimes they don't. We didn't have much choice last night. We could already see in that bush now was the only trailhead out to the truck.
Well, yeah, but if you preferred to do it, if you did it the way you preferred to, you wouldn't drag it over your bait.
Oh, right. Right, you got a choice, eh? Well, the bears out there.
Yeah, a bunch of bears.
We'll have to get them all up in the pole. Gee, that'll be a pretty good night.
Yeah, that'd be a good shot.
Huh?
That'd be a good scene on the
Then
field.
we can drop them down and
I think we'll leave mine on the ground.
Just give him your good side, Don.
You don't look all that good when he gets turned belly side out.
one thing about it,
We could
you
show
don't
the
have
best
to.
side.
You don't have to make that slit there to start your skinning job.
You have a good taxidermist to nipple on there. It can add that much hide to that critter. Jeez, it looks like it tore the hide off of it, that broad across there, huh?
Oh, I don't think it took that much hide off. No.
Don't think it did?
No.
Just tore loose. Huh?
Just open them.
Do you know how they do that? They take the first claw and the left paw and they get down to there and they just go right through there and slit them open.
Left him a minute over it tonight.
I asked him how he knows that.
How do you know that?
I watch him do it.
What's he do? He wasn't kidding.
You can ask any of these guys until they see me.
Go hang your bear up.
That was the fourth claw.
Okay, Fred, we're ready. I got my tape recorder. Now you got a story to tell. Yeah.
Well, you better get your tape recorder.
I got it right here. Right
Is it
here.
going now?
Yeah, it's going now.
No,
Goddamn well better.
I don't think I can take this standing up. You could sit down.
Well, sure.
Well, I gotta have a beer.
Oh, who's gonna get him a beer?
Down by the fire here. Fred, this is a good warm spot over here.
You listen to his stories. He goes,
Oh God, I had the time. I'm like the fellow that's gonna get up and make a speech. He's gonna tell once upon a time he had a girl, and he said once upon a girl he had a time.
Jerry, excuse me, sir.
Ah,
Oh,
I don't know about that.
they do run you out of there tonight?
just about. You wouldn't believe it.
Everybody's listening, Fred.
Okay.
Have a sip of beer first. Quench your thirst.
Fred.
I'm not sure, but what you're gonna disown me after I tell you my story, but I'll take a chance. I went in there, and I didn't shoot my 2 blunt arrows. I don't know why. I guess I thought I don't need to practice.
Oh
I'm
shit!
pretty
You're not gonna tell us you missed.
Hey, Bill, get one of those patches, will you?
At 8:15, the exact time is Monday night. Hell of a racket in back of me. Where's Ray? You know where in back of me is. 2 bears came running down over the hill. Just about 30 feet off to my right. A black sow and a black yearling.
You better have a little fortification.
No, I don't want anything. What do I get to drink? I'm dry. Well, they were a little bit cautious coming in, but not too. And Mama, she's smaller than the Monday night one. It's not the same pair.
Oh, it is.
The cub is a little fatter and a little shorter, and she's smaller. But she's a good bear. And she came in there, and I say, by the way, I got a complaint to make to our butcher.
What'd I do now?
Well, there was a big hunk of suet. And she picked it up and ran the woods with it. See, you're cutting them too big. They got to be smaller. So we gotta stay there. Well, she picked this up and went in the woods. Well, the little cub, or the yearling, he hadn't eaten any yet. And when he saw his mother had left, he got a little concerned, so he went. And there was a fight over there. A roaring and carrying on, and I thought, well, what kind of a mother are you? You won't give that little bastard time to eat. Well, that quieted down. Then there was nothing for about 15 minutes. Then the cub came in. No. Nothing showed up for about 15 minutes, and then the big one came in. And walked right up to the bait and started eating. And I shot an arrow. Right back of the front leg, and that thing bounced up in the air, bounced off her up in the air, and came down like that.
Oh, come on now. How did that happen?
I am not kidding you. That arrow.
You forgot
was
to
sharp.
take your broadheads. You took your blunts.
No, wait, that comes later. No, sir, and I checked that, and that was sharp, and I checked the insert before I put on my bow. That arrow bounced off her, and she made it. There wasn't a click. I didn't hit bone, and it wasn't a pop. It was sort of a pump, like that. And, I just about fell off that seat.
That was that big hunk of suet that she was trying to swallow.
Well, okay, you'd think she'd run off and get the hell out of it. No, she didn't. She just spun around and looked up at me.
Fred, if bullshit was music, you'd be impressed, man.
Thank you. She looked up at me for about 5 seconds, and then she went back to eating. And I got another arrow, and I looked at that. That turned out to be a blunt. So I laid down on that chair beside me, and I had to put the feathers on it so it wouldn't roll off because my seat slopes, it slopes, out. I keep sliding off. And then I was tugging at the broadhead, but one of the blunt feathers was, I didn't dare make a sound, but one of the blunt feathers was caught behind it, and I had to turn the blunt to get the feather away, and finally I got an arrow on the string, and she got in position, and I hit her right same place, just tight up in the shoulder blade. And she took off, and she spun the arrow out about 20 feet from there, ran through some popples, and everything was quiet. And I listened, and I listened, and I listened. Well, I didn't hear any death gurgles. I didn't hear anything, but I could see blood on sides spread and the sides of popple 40 yards away. Well, then a little cub came in after about 15 minutes. In the meantime, he was going rah, 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 all over the woods, and he got a couple hundred yards down the woods. And I thought, well, maybe he's following her and she's going down away, but didn't think she'd go that far with all the blood she was throwing. And then he came back. He went up to where his buddy had disappeared, and then he came out in the feed there, and he got a piece of suet, and he started off with that. And he stopped right over my arrow that was lying in the trail. The one, the head is gone off the one that you spun out of the way. And something bothered him, and he laid that suet right on top of my arrow. And he went in the woods, and there was some rah, rah, rah going on. And then he moved over about 100 yards, and there was a goddamn commotion, and some bear went up a tree. You can tell by the sound that they went up a tree, and there was limbs cracking and all this and that. And there was some growling and what, and I thought, by gosh, I bet I got me a boar over there who's going to come in. Well, I waited, and he kept making that noise on that tree. I don't know whether he's on the same tree all the time, but there was something over there that was giving him trouble. Well, in about 10 minutes, a brown bear came out.
Good, covered up with stairs.
And it was a 2-year-old at least, maybe a 3. It wasn't thin like most of those young bears are. It had a well-rounded back. And then I thought to myself, well, I got 2 problems here. Maybe I need a mounted brown bear to go with the black bear. And also, he looked kind of hungry, and I didn't want anything eating the other bear tonight, so he came up there. He was jittery. He came up and got the piece of meat that the other bear dropped on my arrow and took it up in the popples. In 10 minutes or so, he was back, and he came up near me. He was very jittery, though, and I took a shot at him, but when I pulled back, he was running, and I just kicked him through the front leg. I saw the black bear again, just in the edge of the woods across there, and then that was all. And finally it began to get dark.
The 2-year-old, or the yearling that you're talking about, eh?
Hmm?
That black one you said.
The black one was the yearling
Wasn't
again?
the big one.
No.
No, the little one. Yeah.
The one that shot you mean?
No, that you say you seen the black one again.
The little one. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, the
little.
little fella.
Yeah.
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 You see that big one again.
But there was action over there when I wanted to get that arrow before it got dark. I just can't believe that arrow bounced out of that bear, but it did.
Get it?
Yeah, I got it.
The head on it and everything?
And I can't tell there's any blood on it because it's stuck in the mud. It was all full of mud. I had to wipe it off. Yeah. And that's, well, there we are.
Back to the drawing board.
You
Fred.
still going to be friends with me? That my problem?
That's a good story, Fred.
Ah, geez.
You know, Fred, last year I shot a boar over on the other side of 6 there.
The brown.
And that arrow went right clean through him.
Yeah.
Back.
Yankee went down there and started buying up land. Yeah, he bought land, and all the people around there, they're getting a good price for it, but they couldn't understand this guy buying up this land. Finally, he got, I don't know, 600-700 acres, and he put a big cyclone fence around it. Jesus, they're scratching their head. You know, what the hell is he gonna do? He put about 1,000 cattle in there, and one old bull. Well, God Almighty, they got together and they felt kind of sorry for him. You know, he's a pretty good guy, spent his money and minds his own business. Maybe we should tell him. You know, give him a little advice on raising cattle. He said, gosh, that old bull can't take care of all those cows. So they appointed one of the members as spokesman. He went to see him. He said, you know, kind of led up to the subject. He said, you're a nice guy, we like you. But he said, really? You're not going to hit me about that old bull. And the guy said, well, he said, I don't know. He said, I don't know much about cattle. But my brother, he's going to school up in Boston, and he's studying animal husbandry. And he's running this whole operation. And he said, he gave me some pills. And he said, I give one of those pills to a bull once a week. And man, he's just roaring and ranting and screwing cattle there, and he just wouldn't believe it. And the guy says, that's so. Yeah, he said, it's working out great. He said, what kind of pills are they? And so he reached in his pocket and put one out there. He said, that's what I give him. He said, my God, wonder what's in them. He said, I don't know, but they taste like peppermint.
That story takes 2
Oh,
minutes,
he'll
two
tell it.
minutes to tell, and
I tell him 2 minutes and he'd take a half hour. He's got this southern drawl, you know, it's really something.
and he has to shake his head and go, oh, and every once in a while he has to go like that.
And then he probably finishes up and says, that's true, Hoss, that's true.
We had a sales meeting.
What the hell are you doing there, Hap? You must be watching Bill too goddamn long, taking you half an hour to get set up.
Every other damn picture I had the limb scaff on.
That's all right.
I was waiting for Fred to stop tying his shoes on. It takes him a longer time.
Well,
What about the sales meeting, Fred?
oh yeah, this here was a great storyteller. And we had a sales meeting. We rang in a ringer on him. We got a friend of mine, pretty good. He was a bartender. Christ, he put ice in the hot toddies and insist on a tip before he even take your order. All that. And he's a guy that can keep a straight face. So we got you to tell him a story. And he told him one of his better stories and gave him the punchline, and this guy just looked at him with a blank look and said, yes, go on. And you would retreat and kind of sulk. And he began to get the feeling that he was slipping, you know. Then we'd get in, oh, you know, shit. Go tell him another. So he tried again. He had him going nuts, honest to God. He thought he'd lost everything.
This guy is fantastic.
Yeah.
You asked him for drinking salt first. You asked him for
It's time for him, Fred, if we get another sales
Scotch
meeting
and
going
water.
one of these days.
You don't want
That's, all these new guys,
no
you
goddamn
know.
good or
Oh, I can have a ball.
never crack
Oh,
a smile. Insult himself.
That was great.
Tell
He
everybody
really
we have a
got me.
cocktail party at 6 o'clock.
He did?
The guy comes at a
Oh,
quarter after
yeah, I
five.
walked up there and ordered a
Jam
drink. and-
rattles hands and
God
bottles around.
damn, what the fuck did he say?
Back and asked him to
I
stop.
couldn't believe
What the
it.
fuck do you mean you want this cocktail?
The next
6
thing
o'clock
he
or
gives
don't
you a ration of shit, and I wondered if he's gonna punch him in the mouth or what.
Never cracks a smile.
Well, he's too big to argue with,
I
man.
figured you weren't gonna take that from no guy. What the hell is this? That's him for a martini, and he just tell you, make it dry. He said, fuck it, I'll make it the way I want it. So if he puts it down, if you don't like that son of a bitch, go someplace else and drink. Just take your drink, man.
Hope he wouldn't follow you.
Yeah, we'll be done for that. Jesus Christ.
They start talking about all the trouble his family had and slamming them glasses around. Sister fucked up and said, I don't like this fucking job to start
What a great party, man.
Then I gotta put up with a bunch of assholes like you guys. Then he's dead serious, that's the thing. Jesus Christ, you know, you walk off about 20 feet and stand there and kind of look at him.
He used to go hunting with us. He was a
Oh,
ball.
Jesus, I'll bet he was. I think I could take him for a week.
I got on his trail one. He finally shot a deer one day, and I came along to the woods, and I heard it was warm, and I heard flies buzzing. I looked around, and Dick had shot a deer, and he gutted it out, and these flies were on the guts. And I saw a dragon trail. I picked up his hunting knife there, and how I knew it was Dick, his license was laying there. He'd taken it out to tie it on his deer.
Left it lay.
Left it lay, and I took his trail, and he wasn't very far away. And I sneaked up behind him and tapped him in the middle of the back with my bow, and he thought, shit, he's pants. What a character. There's two of them in Ann Arbor. And between the two of them, one of them radio announcer, he announces the Michigan games, or he did. And between the two of them, honest to Christ, we had a party at their house one time, Saturday night. And first thing we did was during the war and you couldn't buy cigarettes. Went down the basement and painted a sign about that long. Said cigarettes for ladies only. This was about midnight. Went downtown, the busiest corner in Ann Arbor, and he had gum tape on it. Stopped the car right in this busy corner. Get out and stuck that on. There was one of these with round windows going in the door. Stuck it right in the round window. And Christ, almost before he got up, there's a line for him. So the next thing we did, we got a Sunday paper. But we did this before we put the sign in the door. Got a Sunday paper, went home, and he looked in the wanted section, and he found somebody had a player piano for sale. And this was about 2 o'clock in the morning then, so he called up. He got some woman out of bed, and he said that he lived in the country and he's in town and he's wanting to buy something for his brother for